I think we should. So hello everyone and welcome to the first Geek Out for Webmaker Training starting today, May 12th. And if you're just tuning in and you haven't heard of Webmaker Training yet, I urge you to go over to training.webmakerprototypes.org. And we've been tweeting that link and send it around a bunch of different channels, so we'll help you find it. I'm Laura. I'm here to talk a little bit about the teaching methods behind Webmaker, and I'm joined by Doug Belshaw. Doug, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Doug. I used to be a teacher. I now work for Mozilla after some time in higher education. So I'm on the same team as Laura, and I work on web literacy mainly, which obviously Webmaker Training is exactly tuned into. We've got some people in the chat itself rather than just watching along, so why don't they introduce themselves? Because they're going to be helping us out where they can. And they've chosen to join us live rather than watching the live stream. So let's go from Brian. Brian, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Brian Foley. I'm out here in Los Angeles. I teach teachers and do work a lot with young kids in Scratch in the summertime.
Very welcome. Paul?
Yeah, I'm calling in from Norway. I'm interested in making and building a makerspace, looking into Arduino. I'm a regular at Howard's Arduino Geek Outs. So I first look into the Webmaker toolset.
Very welcome. And just joined us is Robin. Robin, have you managed to unmute? No? Okay, so we're going to use the kind of walkie-talkie style of muting and unmuting when we're talking or not talking. So if someone else is talking, just press mute, stops feedback, and when you're talking, obviously you need to make sure you unmute. So what we're going to do, Laura's going to give a quick overview of Mozilla and Webmaker and what we do and who we are and why we're doing this. And then we're going to give a quick overview as well of like this whole area, this kind of like the pedagogical area, kind of 5 minutes around connected learning, making us learning, the open web. But what we want to spend the majority of today doing is demoing some HTML, CSS, and some of the things you can do, including a collaborative project in Thimble. And then what we want to do is anybody who's watching this, anybody who's involved in it, getting started by learning through making, no matter what level you're at. And at the end, we'll come back and we'll celebrate what we've made together. So, Laura, do you want to give us a quick overview about who Mozilla are and what Webmaker in specifically is about?
Yes, I definitely do. So, Mozilla is a pretty amazing organization. We're best known for the browser Firefox, but actually Mozilla is a very large global community of people. We work together to provide open source software and to really kind of keep choice in the user's hands. And what we're really trying to do is protect the web as a public resource. Mozilla is full of people, the Mozilla community is full of people who really kind of see the web as much more than just a commercial platform or something to be used for commerce, but rather a place where we can all be expressive. And so we are really trying to help people get the skills they need to not only consume what's on the World Wide Web, but to feed back into the ecosystem. So Doug and I both work for Webmaker, which is the biggest project at the foundation. And what Webmaker is it is the culture, citizenship, and mechanics of the web. So what we really are trying to do is to help people get the skills they need to communicate via the web and also make things, collaborate, and basically just be part of the digital world. So we started the Webmaker project a few years ago, and it's grown and changed and just been an amazing ride over the past couple of years. And this year, we really want to help people teach the web. And so we started Webmaker Training. And what Webmaker Training is at this moment, it's an online 4-module set of courses. So you don't have to take them all. You can take them, you can take 1 or 2 or any combination. And what we're trying to do is help people sort of get into the web community and learn from each other and share things together and create educational resources that they can then take into their local communities to spread spread making is learning and connected learning and feed back into this kind of awesome ecosystem that we have going on. So that was very quick and very brief, but you can check out Webmaker at webmaker.org, and then training, we're going to be here for the next month, and then we'll take a small break, and then we'll be back in July again. So, Doug, do you want to add anything?
No, absolutely. I think that was a good overview. So Mozilla, obviously best known for working in the same sandpit, operating the same sandpit as Google and Facebook and Microsoft and people, but a very different kind of organization, a non-profit, and working on behalf of users. So one of the things which directs us in everything we do with Webmaker from a kind of a pedagogical or learning kind of philosophy point of view is the idea that people learn best when they're making stuff. So you might have seen this best when you get somebody who's just learned something to teach it to somebody else. You might have taught yourself some HTML, CSS. You might have taught yourself how to cook, for example. So we very strongly believe that you learn best when you make new things, and we're going to start making new things on this call today. If you've got the Hamago link, if you're watching this on the live stream, if you're in the session and you click through to the Hamago link, then you'll see there's a link at the bottom where the agenda is right at the bottom of the page, and you can follow along with some links that I'm going to mention very quickly here. There's three things I want to talk about. There's a blog post by somebody who works for one of the Hive networks, which is one of the wider alliances of organizations that Mozilla kind of runs. This is a guy called Rafi Santo, and he wrote a fantastic blog post, which is linked to from that page I just mentioned. And it's looking at whether making is learning, and some kind of considerations as education kind of embraces the maker movement. So in that blog post, which is a very long and considered post, what he's looking at is kind of constructionist learning theory, MIT's lifelong kindergarten group, people like the National Writing Project, like all different kinds of communities of practice, affinity spaces, and some of the work of people like Seymour Papert, John Dewey, and those kinds of people. Now, what we're not going to do on this call is go really heavily down on the learning theory route. We can do at another time if people are interested. We can go have a much deeper dive. But what I want to do today is just point people towards some resources which might trigger some thinking. So have a look at Rafi Sando's blog post. There's obviously the work and the stuff that Laura's done around the training website and some resources around that, which absolutely is spot on with Mozilla's philosophy. Then there's the second thing I want to talk about is connected learning. But before I do that, before I go into connected learning, which is like a wider alliance of people interested in joining together academia and making and that kind of stuff, I just want to pause because I want to test out the question functionality just to see if anyone's got any feedback so far. If you're in the chat, you can stick it in the chat window on the right-hand side. And if you are listening to this on the Hamago Geek Out page, I believe there's a place to add comments. Is that right, Laura?
Yeah, you can add comments on the Geek Out page. You can also use Twitter and tweet at TeachTheWeb. With the hashtag TeachTheWeb. We have some awesome folks who are monitoring that channel, and they have a back channel in IRC with us. So if you have questions, use that hashtag, and we will try to answer them.
Awesome. So I'm just going to pause in case you've got any questions. No stupid questions, no stupid answers. Brian's saying it sounds great so far. Good. Thank you. Oh, and Alessandro is joining us as well. Hi, Alessandro.
Hi.
You're very welcome.
Good evening. I followed you just a few minutes ago.
No problem. Do you want to say where you are? Just for the people who are watching, do you want to say who you are and where you're from?
I am Alessandro. I'm work for aircraft workstation, and I'm from Italy, and close to Pompeii, close to Naples.
Excellent. It's a lovely part of the world. I remember visiting Ischia a few years ago. It was lovely. So if we're going to use the walkie-talkie method, Alessandro, so what you'll need to do is just mute your microphone at times when you're not talking. That would be awesome. Thank you. The mute button's right at the top of your window there. Laura, would you like to talk about connected learning, or shall I take it?
We could just have a conversation about connected learning.
Absolutely. Okay, so what do you understand as being connected learning then, Laura? What's your kind of take on it?
Well, I actually think that connected learning is kind of something that I've been doing my entire life via the web. So it is actually a framework that is based on research that MacArthur published in February 2012, I believe. And they did a bunch of research around, different types of organizations that were kind of strengthening and extending their communities via the web. And they were learning organizations. So they were really looking at, like, okay, who are these people that are all sort of connecting into this global infrastructure, and what exactly is it that they're doing? So they were looking at maker spaces, and they were looking at museums that had very heavy digital learning programs. And they did this big body of research, and out of that, they came up with a framework that's really designed for technology and learning organizations to sort of focus in on what does it mean to be a 21st century learner. So they have a couple of different principles, which if you've taken a look at the training website, there is an awesome graphic that just came out the other day, and we were kind of scrambling.
That graphic is so much better than the one they had before. They had this like giant hairball before, which was, it had lots of information in it, but it was a graphic. It was very difficult to share with people because no matter how big you made it, it always was very difficult to see the writing. So I'm really pleased to see that they've got that much better, much more open, much more web savvy kind of graphic. It's really helpful.
Yeah, it's great. It's actually the graphic that's embedded on the training website. If you click on it, then you'll be taken to the Connected Learning Alliance website, and then it's actually a interactive graphic. So there's much more information about what each of those kind of nodes mean and what they represent if you click through. So I urge everybody to sort of explore that model because it's pretty easy to understand once you get into it for a couple of minutes, and it's definitely something that Mozilla and the National Writing Project and Make to Learn and P2PU and a lot of other online communities are sort of bringing into the real world, and vice versa.
I absolutely agree, and I think the thing which is interested if you're in a formal education space or even working with any kind of organization, even in an after-school context, is that we're focusing heavily today on the production-centered part of this. The idea that, like experimenting and producing stuff and creating and designing and rapidly iterating stuff is something which is worth doing. But I think that connecting all of the dots there leads to a very holistic view of learning. And I know that people like Mimi Ito with 2 PhDs have done some fantastic work. And in fact, the platform that we're using now, Imago, which stands for hanging out, messing about, and geek. Sorry, what was it, Laura? Hanging out,
messing around, geeking out.
I always get that wrong. Thank you. So even, this platform is based on observations and extensive ethnographic research into how teenagers and young people work and kind of can work together constructively and learn new things. So it's a nice kind of gateway, I think, the new Connected Learning Alliance, and especially this diagram, in having conversations, useful conversations about what it means to learn things in the 21st century. The shared purpose part of that is obviously affinity spaces and connecting with people around. It might be a game, it might be a TV series, it might be something that you've made like a multimedia resource. But all of these different things, I very much would urge you to dive deeper into it, because there's a lot of stuff behind that very simple and very effective graphic. Okay, so the third thing is the open web, and this is something which is obviously very dear to our hearts at Mozilla. The link that we've put into the show notes, into the agenda, is the Wikipedia article for the open web, and it's quite a short one, but it links out to a couple of things. First of all, obviously it mentions the Mozilla Foundation, that Laura and I are representing here as being prominent advocates of the open web. But it also gives a link to, there's a guy called Tantek who wrote a blog post a few years ago about what the open web actually means. And if you follow through the link to Wikipedia, you see that it's 3 things. First of all, it's being able to publish content and applications on the web using open standards, so not proprietary protocols, but things which everybody can use. Secondly, coding and implementing web standards that content and apps depend upon, things like protocols like HTTPS, all those kinds of things, but also being able to access and reuse and remix those kinds of things. So Webmaker, one way of looking at it, is a very large resource for open educational resources, a big repository of places where you can have teaching resources which are openly licensed, and you can then remix them. So Webmaker is the tools, it's the community, and it's the resources, and you can remix those resources within and outside of the community as well. So if we take all of those things together, then we end up with what we're doing here with Webmaker Training. We've got making as learning, we've got connected learning, which is connecting to a much wider body of work, and also the open web, the technical side of things. Is there anything you'd want to add to that, Laura?
I just wanted to add about the open web, and just from a practical perspective, you know, Mozilla is an organization that works openly, which basically means that you can follow the progress of all of our projects from ideation through to whatever that thing becomes. So if you're interested in how something is built or why certain things have been changed, you can always jump into a community call and find out what's going on. You can always look for blog posts where you can kind of see the progression of a project. So for example, with Webmaker Training, you can follow that all the way back to over a year ago when a couple of us had this idea that it would just be fun to do a sort of a connectivist MOOC. And so we pitched it and we built it and we did it, and it's changed a lot since over a year ago. But it's actually pretty interesting to sort of see projects through that holistic lens. And I think that working openly is something that allows you to really do that. And the other cool thing about it is that you can get so many different types of people participating in whatever it is that you care about if you work openly and if you share those ideas with people early and often.
Absolutely. Now I think it's time to dive into some learning through making. So Laura and I are going to do a demo.
Actually, before we do that, maybe we should see if there are any questions.
That is a very good idea. Are there any questions? Let's have a look on the chat stream. Also, the people who are on the call, feel free to pipe up.
I have a lot of questions because I'm not an expert about website, web and informatic things. I try to learn something new. I don't know if I am enough skill to learn, because it looks like very complicated how the web page works. I don't know, maybe I can try.
So actually you've come to the right place, because what Doug was going to do right before I interrupted him was that we were going to jump into some learning by making. So Doug and I were thinking that for this session it would be kind of cool to do a quick HTML and CSS demo and then sort of pair up and see how far we can get and what we can make in collaboration with one another. So I'll just check the back channel. The back channel seems to be quiet. So Doug, what do you think? You want to do a demo?
Yeah, Alessandro, could you just mute again, please? Though we do have a question from the Twitter stream. I think it's Brendan Murphy, who's asked, is connected learning related to connectivist learning theory? So for those of you who aren't familiar with the connectivism kind of school of thought, it's mainly Canadian educators, people like George Siemens, Stephen Downes, people like that. And the idea, as far as I understand it in my work, is that learners are nodes on a kind of a personal learning network who can find other nodes and can learn together, which helps everybody in the network learn things. So this is very much underpins the idea of like an open connectivist MOOC. So a MOOC being a massive open online course, which are different from the other more often called C MOOCs for connectivist MOOCs and X MOOCs for the kind of MOOCs that you get, massive open online courses you get through Coursera and people like that, very kind of structured and led MOOCs, kind of top-down MOOCs. So connectivism is this idea of kind of bottom-up, rhizomatic approach with learners as nodes on the network, whereas the other idea is pretty much top-down, sage on the stage, teacher at the front kind of model. So yes, I would say the connected learning is very much related to connectivist learning theory because it privileges the kind of bottom-up, rhizomatic approach to learning rather than the top-down approach. I hope that answers your question, Brendan. I haven't got very much time to go into that any further. Okay, any more questions?
I do not see any. Somebody is saying there's a question in the comments. Lots of refreshing going on. The idea of the open web is generally compatible with this draft of the Declaration of Internet Rights. How do you feel about this document? Daniela is asking. So to be honest, I've read this document before, and I very much agree with much of what it says. I think that it is actually quite articulate in explaining how the internet is free and open, and why it should stay that way. In terms of, yeah, I guess that's kind of enough to say, huh?
No, absolutely. I think they're absolutely compatible. The Declaration of Internet Freedom, from what I understand, is very much a user-centric. It's very much user-focused. I think the open web is both user-focused and kind of behind the scenes in terms of the infrastructure focused as well. So, for example, you might have what seems like an open ecosystem, but with very closed proprietary tools. And that might look like it's compatible with the kind of internet freedom. Whereas when you have open standards, when you have the ability to transfer your data between places, then the things based upon open protocols, it goes that one step further. So I think the Declaration of Internet Freedom is an absolutely valid and a very valuable thing, but it's only one part of a wider idea of an open web. Okay, I think we should get started with a demo, Laura. What do you think?
I agree. Shall I share my screen in Drive, or would you like to?
No, you go for it. You share your screen.
All right.
You tell me what I need to do as well. Speak to me like I'm 5 years old.
Okay. Let's see. So first I'm going to share my screen. Endless recursion there. And now I'm hoping that you can see Mozilla Thimble.
Could you send me that link then, and I'll get straight on it.
I sure can. Can you just confirm that the screen share is working?
Yes, I can see the screen share.
Perfect. So there is a Together.js URL.
Awesome. And other people who are in this chat, feel free to dive in with Laura and I. All you need to do is click on that link, and if you've got a Webmaker account, then you can get straight in there. So what you should see now on Laura's screen is you should see both her and I in there.
Just to explain what you're looking at, Mozilla Thimble is a browser-based code editor that the Webmaker product team has been working on for a while. And it accepts HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And the cool thing about it is if you make a mistake, what will happen is Thimble will let you know that you've made a mistake. So for example, if I click on line 9 and just delete the last part of the H1 tag, you'll see, well, I should. We're typing all over each other. So I've just deleted the closing, I call them carets, it's a greater than sign on the H1 tag. And when I do that, there's this little red exclamation point that pops up, which lets me know that I have made a mistake and tells me what that mistake is. So Thimble is actually a pretty great tool for learning how to get started with HTML. So I just want to show a couple of things. Well, explain a couple of the tags that you're seeing. So the syntax for HTML is a less than sign, the name of a tag, and then a greater than sign. That's what opens a tag. So if you take a look at the document that we're editing, at the very top of the document is an HTML tag. And I'm not sure, I think you can see me highlighting this. And in HTML, when you open a tag, you also close it. So all the way at the bottom of the document is the closing HTML tag. You do that with a backslash. This tag is what tells the computer that we are writing a web page. So that tag is absolutely necessary in every HTML page, but luckily with Thimble, it puts all of those you have to have them HTML tags right in the document, even if you start with a blank document. So the next section here from line 3 to 6 is the head tag. This is all of the stuff that contains information that the user doesn't necessarily need to see. So the title of the web page is actually, like, if you look at the top of a browser window up there in the gray, it'll tell you what page you're on, and that is designated here by the title tag. And I want you to notice again that if you open a title or if you open an HTML tag, you close it as well. So you can see the closing title tag right there. And then if you skip down to line 7, you see the body tag. And what the body tag contains, the opening and closing body tag, it contains everything that the user sees on your website. So while I've been blah, blah, blahing, Doug and others have been changing this web page to have an animated GIF naturally. And they've included an H1 tag, which is what's making this big blue text, a paragraph tag, which is actually just being used for spacing, but if I write something, and I can try to write something if I could click properly. It doesn't want to let me click properly. Fun with tech. Here we go. I don't know why I keep skipping around.
So this is still pretty experimental at the moment, but what you can see, I hope, is that you've got multiple cursors on the screen. People being able to edit this on the fly in the same way that you'd be able to edit maybe Google Docs or Etherpad if you've used that before. You've got different colors. You can see where people are. The thing I like about teaching in this sense is one of the things I really miss as a remote worker. I work remotely, as does Laura. I'm in the north of England. Laura's in Dresden in Germany. I miss the ability to look over people's shoulder and to find out what they're doing and to see what they're learning and just to be able to learn new things, correct people, do all that kind of stuff. And this allows you to do that to some extent, either in the same physical locality or even if you're on the other side of the world, you can get involved in things. You can be on a call with them and you can point out things in real time, correct stuff, and teach them a little bit of HTML, CSS, and even some JavaScript, because you can put some JavaScript in here as well. So we've got, this is doing things from scratch. This is a blank Thimble page, and as you can see, just adding very simple things can you know, put an animated GIF in there, can change the color of stuff, all that kind of thing. But what we've got, and Laura, you might want to share your screen here for some other stuff. What we'd like you to do is we'd like you to find someone to work with. And as you can see on Laura's screen there, we'd like you to go to the Webmaker Training page. I'd like you to click on Exploring and then on Make, as Laura is showing here. And then when you scroll down on Exploring and then Make, you can see some things that people have already made. And we'd like you to remix some of these using Thimble and using the technology called Together.js. So the best way, I think, to do this is if you've got somebody who you know you can call on right now to be able to do this with, then you should do that right now, and you should disregard the next bit that I'm going to say. You should just get started right now and mess about. If you haven't got anybody to do this with, then that's fine. All you need to do is, if you're on Twitter, you just need to use the #TeachTheWeb hashtag, all one word, #TeachTheWeb. And if you do that, then you'll be able to find somebody who wants to do this at the same time as you. And no matter where you are, and even if you don't know each other, you can hack on the same thing. So either use the Twitter hashtag or smack up somebody that you know. Laura, can you just show again how people would collaborate using Thimble? Could you go back to the Thimble page?
Sure.
And just show them the buttons that they need to press?
So I'm going to kick everybody here who's with me. I'm going to kick you guys out. I just did that. And if I am in Thimble, if I go up to my name, you do need to be logged in to be able to collaborate, but if I go up to my name, there's a collaborate button, and when I click that, Together.js gives me a URL And if I copy that URL, I can share it over Twitter, and I can invite other people in. If you have somebody on Skype that you want to work with, or in an IRC back channel, or anywhere, you can use this URL and bring them into the thing that you're making, and then you can work together.
Yeah, and if you're absolutely new to HTML, CSS, all that kind of stuff, and you've got no idea how to get started, then hopefully the person you're with might have a clue and might be able to start teaching you. Or what I suggest you might want to do is use your favorite search engine. And this is how I got started with HTML and CSS. I just searched for like an HTML cheat sheet. It's difficult saying it. HTML cheat sheet. And if you look for that, it'll give you some of the tags, some of the things that you can do. And this is what I do with my 7-year-old son. I kind of show him some of the tags you can use, and then just have a play and see what happens. If you break it, or if you think you've broken it, you can always press undo at the top of the Thimble page, and you can press redo as well. If you've made an error, it will let you know, because it will come up with a little red exclamation mark, and you can find out what's wrong. So this is like a safe space. This is a safe space in which you can learn some HTML and CSS. If you know that pretty well, then why don't you go ahead and try putting some JavaScript in there as well. But what you need to do right now is find somebody to work with. Find somebody who's either someone you know on Twitter, on Skype, wherever, or if you don't know anybody, then just use the Teach the Web hashtag, and you can use that link and people can dive straight in to get started. And I'm going to have a look on the Teach the Web hashtag right now to see if I can help anyone out. What we're going to do is we're going to give people about 18 minutes. So at 50 minutes past the hour, 10 minutes to the next hour, we're going to come back here and we're going to see what people have made. And you can share out your links once you've pressed publish. So just to recap, you're going to find somebody to work with. You're going to invite them in once you've created a Webmaker account and share that link on Twitter or with somebody you know. Once you've created something, no matter how small it is, doesn't matter, just press publish. And at 10 to the hour, in 18 minutes time, we're going to come back into Hamago and we're going to share what we've done. So there's
a great question in the chat from Brian who's asking, what is that remix link? I guess I'll answer it. So Brian, the remix link, everything that you build with Webmaker tools is published in the open. So anybody can take what you've built and then remix it to be their own thing. It won't save over what you've built. They'll just basically make a copy of it, change a couple of things, and then make something anew. And so Doug and I were actually going to work on one of the projects from the training page together while other people were kind of finding people to work with using Twitter and other back channels. And if you're watching the screen, you'll see me hit the remix link. And I guess, Doug, are you ready to do that now?
Yeah, we just had some feedback in the IRC chat that while I was talking and you were screen sharing, Google Plus was automatically changing to my screen because I was talking. Which is a bit of an issue. So I think you can get around that, Laura, by
clicking on my face.
If you click on your face, you can get around it. So let's just show that one more time. If you know what you're doing, go forth and collaborate. We're going to run through it one more time for the benefit of people who couldn't see the screen share. So Laura, if you could just share your screen and click on your name so that it doesn't go off again. And let me know when you're ready.
Yep. Okay, endless recursion. So just to verify that you guys can see the makes on the training site.
So could you go from the front page of the training website just to start absolutely from scratch?
Okay, so if you're landing on training.webmakerprototypes.org, the first thing that you're going to want to do is click on the Exploring module. And what will happen then is you'll be loaded directly into the concepts page, but we want to make something. So we're going to click on Make. And if you scroll down, there's some suggestions of other things that people have made. And I really like kitties, so I'm going to choose this middle one. I can view this make by clicking on it, and I'll see what it is that has already been made. And then I can hit this remix button at the top right corner, and when I do that, that make will be loaded into Thimble. So then I can say I want to collaborate. it's going to give me a Together.js URL, which I am going to
Why
go.
don't you throw that link out onto Twitter, Laura? Wow, that was
Sure.
endless regression. That was insane.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out onto Twitter.
With the Teach the Web hashtag, and then people can find that one if nothing else.
So, tweeted.
Excellent.
And now I'm guessing if a whole bunch of people show up, it might not work at all, but that's okay because it's fun.
So if you haven't got anybody to join in with, then that's the one to join. And what you should see, if you're just watching this on the stream, you'll see lots of people join, like Observant Owl and Gregarious Giraffe. You're anonymous, I think, until you choose to put your name in. And then I'm going to dive into that. And what you should see is me joining as well. And we can change this around. Depending on how much you know, you can change things. So, for example, a little about me. Where are we?
Maybe it should be a little about us.
Line 65 says your photo here. And so I'm going to put a picture in there.
I'm not going to change images because then I would have to go find images, and that would be.
There we go. Oh my goodness me! What have I done there? I'm going to press undo because I just put some epic link in there.
It says that Mark Zerman is me.
Let's just change that around because I just put a huge thing in there. So this is the wonderful thing about hacking together. Oh my goodness, Laura, what have you done there? So if you're in this session, you'll see the creative chaos that is lots and lots of people's cursors going all over the place. There's actually, I can remember when I was teaching once, actually, I used, there's a tool called Microsoft Mouse Mayhem, and you can connect 8 mice at the same time. And I remember using that, back in about 2006, 2007, with some kids. And that was quite possibly the most fun I've had in the classroom. It was fantastic. And this is a similar kind of thing. You've got lots of people hacking stuff, moving things around.
Yes, this is definitely creative chaos.
Fuzzy Fox is telling me off in the back channel for copying links from Google Images pages. Sorry, Fuzzy.
I apparently don't know an image source of my own head, so I'll just remove it.
And at the moment, this is really nice colors on the page. Now, one of the wonderful things about the web, especially the open web, is that you can put any color on there. I can remember back in the old days when I was first learning CSS, back when I was about 16, 17, you had to use kind of web-safe colors because monitors couldn't display every color under the sun. You could only choose a limited selection. Whereas now, what you can do is you can choose almost anything, and every color has a hashtag code. And some of these, if you're a proper geek, then you learn these off by heart, and you have your favorite hexadecimal colors. So I don't know what can people see. What line are you on there, Laura? Could you scroll up to like line 26-ish? Yes, on line 28 now you can see background color is hash ffcd36, and that's in the About Me bit. So that's going to be that's going to be the yellow, is it?
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is you can go to a page, like if you just do a web search for web colors, for example, you'll see there's lots of websites which will tell you a big long list of all different colors, hexadecimal colors, and then you can just swap that out. If you don't know any of those, it's fine, because what you can do is you can delete that, including the hashtag, and you can just type in things like yellow or green or red, as Laura's doing here, and it'll change it out and swap it just for a very basic color. But if you get a bit more into this, you'll learn that there's certain colors which are very pleasing. So some of my favorites are 336699. I quite like 333. There's various other ones that you just learn over time that become your favorite colors. I don't know if that's especially geeky or if that's just an awesome thing to do.
So I'm going to try. I see that the page is not updating. I'm guessing it's because there's a bunch of us in here. I'm going to try to refresh. Hopefully I don't kick anyone out.
This is still very much an experimental feature, so
So
let's see if that's going to work now.
I think we might have found a bug.
I think that might be because it's using MakerStrap, but we'll see.
Let's just get rid of MakerStrap.
So one of the things from a web literacy point of view, which I usually point out to people, is that the most important thing when you're learning how to do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is not necessarily understanding every single little bit of everything. It's understanding where you need to pay attention to. Now, obviously, that's quite difficult when you've got a million cursors on the screen, but if you're scrolling through this by yourself, the important thing is to know what different things pertain to. Now, when you've got well-structured code, what usually happens is people separate out completely the bare bones, the structure of the page, from how it looks. So the HTML, in terms of the skeleton of the page, you've got this, and you've got this, and you've got this, and you've got this. And then when you add the CSS in there, Laura's just removed all the CSS, I think, right?
I was trying to figure out why it didn't work, and so I removed MakerStrap, but what was actually going on was that there was a bunch of errors just from all of us doing a bunch of different things in the body tag. So yes, now it is not pretty anymore.
And one of the things, one of the things you learn over time is that you might not understand every single little bit of everything, but you can understand which chunk of code you're going to need to pay attention to. And as soon as you realize that, as soon as you realize, oh, this chunk of code pertains to this bit here, then all of a sudden you know which bit to tinker about with. And if you start tinkering and realize, oh, well, if I change this, it does that, you start learning just by tinkering, yeah? And you learn by making things. And that's the powerful thing. That's the powerful thing that helps you learn stuff. The other thing you can do, I think, on some, not all of them have been upgraded to this, I don't think, but on some Thimble resources, you can click on the preview window on the right-hand side, and it will take you to the correct bit of code to be able to change that. So that's a useful tip as well. If you click on the right-hand side preview window, it should take you to the correct bit of code to be able to change that around. Laura, shall we put that CSS back in there?
Yeah. Oops. Maybe. So I'm going to show you guys how those of us who have been doing this for a long time generally do this kind of thing. What we would usually do is go and find a page that has the the link still in it, as you can see on my screen, and I'm just going to copy and paste it out of there and into our project. That way I don't have to go and try and find it somewhere. I might actually paste it into our project. There we go. Yay for bugs!
There we go.
Okay. So. Okay, looks like we have some more errors.
The thing I find about web literacy, in particular, any kind of new literacy, is that whilst there's places which will allow you to follow a very structured and organized set of instructions to improve your skills, really web literacy and new literacies like digital literacy, media literacy, that kind of thing, are learned through the connections that you make with other people, and an approach to that which you can only learn by tinkering about. So, for example, before school, my son uses a website called Duolingo to learn languages, and also Khan Academy to learn maths, which those types of things, language learning and maths, lend themselves to very structured, linear kind of approaches. Whereas what I would suggest with things like web literacy is it's an approach to the web. It's an approach that you can always press undo, you can always find someone to collaborate with, and the best way of learning is just by tinkering about with things which are important to you. So this one here is an introduction page. It gives you some kind of identity on the web. It allows you to say, this is who I am, hit publish, and then show the world what it is that you've done. If that doesn't appeal to you, there's a million other things you can do. I started with my first website, was a Monty Python appreciation site, which allowed you to download sounds that I recorded directly from my VHS video recorder. Because that spoke to me. And whatever you're interested in, there's something that you can do on the web. And there's people who also have your interests, but they might be based the other side of the world. And tools like this allow you to connect with them and allow you to hack together on things which are of value to you both. Okay, Laura, we've got about 3 more minutes. Is there anything else we should show people before we circle back and see what other people have made?
I don't think so. I mean, we could probably do this all day. I was just writing in a link tag.
The other thing to mention is that obviously with this being kind of experimental feature at the moment, it works best when there's fewer people involved. So if it's just 2 of you, this is going to work a lot better than when there's 8 of you or whatever. So I'm looking forward to see what other people have done on the Teach the Web hashtag. If you've made something, in the next couple of minutes, what we're going to be asking you to do is to hit publish. Laura, do you want to show people how to publish things?
Yes, I do.
You might need to take off the, yeah, cool. Go it alone again.
Okay, so I'm going to click Go It Alone to kick you guys out of this page. Sorry. And then in the upper right-hand corner, there's this Save button. And if I click Save, I can give this Make a New Name. I can add some tags, like, for example, we did some HTML, we fiddled around with CSS, we used Together.js, so we're collaborating. And I could give it a new thumbnail. I'm not going to go find one, but if you want to give a new thumbnail to whatever it is that you've made, you can also designate which language this is in.
Yes, because Webmaker is localized into very many languages due to the awesome work of our community.
So I'm going to say this is a quick and dirty prototype created live on May 12th.
While Laura's doing that, just a couple of things. The little tick box at the bottom that says searchable on webmaker.org, you can keep that private to yourself, or you can make it so that people can find it. These things that you make will go to your Webmaker profile, and by default they're private, and you can choose to make them public. And we're not going to cover that today, but it's something which you can play about with and find out by yourself. So it's not the prettiest page ever, but hopefully it shows you the power of working together and some of the things that you can change around. We've now got a Hey Nice to Meet You page from Laura, hacked together with some other people as well. It's 10 to the hour, so I'm going to ask everybody to come back. If you've created something, could you press publish now, please, like Laura showed you how to do there. And then if you tweet out the link or put it into the IRC chat, because I see that some people are in the Teach the Web IRC channel, then that would be fantastic. Stick the link in there to your published resource, the thing that you've just made, and then we'll see what you've done. Let's have a look then. What we got. Scroll up. Oh, cool. We've got somebody who's put a screenshot in here. So, Laura, if you just scroll through the Teach the Web, because unless you want me to screen share, perhaps I could screen share. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Here we go. How do I screen share? That one there. Oh, recursion. My goodness. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Cool.
While you're
So,
recursioning.
yeah, I'm just looking at the Teach the Web. This is my tweet deck, so tweetdeck.twitter.com. And I've just typed in Teach the Web as a hashtag, and you can see that Lord Castillo here has tweeted out a picture of something they've created, and they've even got the chat going on here. Why Curious Cat? Just learning my way around. Where's the little picture? And they've been working together on the resource that Alan Levine made. Excellent. What else do we got? Oh, we've got Fuzzy Fox, William Dyke, saying that his favourite colour, his favourite CSS hex code is 123456, which is a nice deep blue. Awesome. Brian Foley. Brian, do you want to tell us, actually, because you're in the chat, do you want to tell us quickly about what you've been doing?
Yeah, just playing around. The Thimble is new to me, so I was trying to work my way around. I had a helper who I never found out their name, the Iguana, I think, and we were just exploring the soup can and how to modify it.
Very cool. So
it says that 90% of your time on the web is weird photographs. That sounds interesting.
Okay, I'm just going to look through what else we got. So Brian shared what he's done there. What else have we got? Ho Chang Chow. Oh, I'll need to screen share again, won't I? Sorry. Okay, so Pyeongchang Chao has tweeted out a link here, and they're looking for someone to collaborate with. I'm not sure if they've done anything yet. There we go. And I think, Laura, we've got another couple of things to look at as well.
We do. I'm pasting them in the chat for you.
Oh, okay, cool.
You can.
I will just share my screen. There we go. Excellent. So who's this? This is Artifactor, who's in Norway. It's pretty chaotic, yes. And someone saying that they're from Missouri. This is fantastic. And they put an animated GIF of somebody spinning a globe. Excellent. Does anyone want to say who did that? Is that from the Hamago links, Laura?
Yes, it is. So there's
I was working on that with Lucy Harris from Teach the Web on Twitter.
Great.
And we've
I just pasted another one for you, Doug.
Oh, thank you very much. That's Lucy Year. Oh, is that the same one? Yes, that's just been saved twice. Cool. Okay.
And there's some great comments. People experiencing this kind of collaboration via the web for the first time. There's some chaotic comments. I love it.
Cool. Okay. Any other ones to share? Have we got anything in the Teach the Web IRC channel?
Let me double check.
Thanks, Fuzzy, for directing us towards Twitter. That's cool. If you've made something, Oh, Tony Parkin's been in. He said he clearly was not the observant owl he was meant to be when playing in Teach the Web. Tripad has still a link in here. I'm not sure if that's the one we were in before. Oh, that's the same one as we've just seen.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else who wants to share what they've done? You're very welcome.
And if you're not quite done and you're still working with people, please continue. You can tweet it later. Just use the hashtag #TeachTheWeb, and we will take a look later on too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we've got 5 minutes left, Laura. Shall we wrap things up by, first of all, asking if anyone's got any questions? That would be a good thing to do. But also, once we've asked for any questions, let's just wrap up by saying what's going to be happening for the rest of the week, and indeed what's going to be happening for the rest of the month while this Webmaker training is on. So first of all, any questions? If you're synchronous with us in this chat, then stick it in the group chat. If you're in IRC, stick it in IRC. And if you're on Twitter, stick it in your Twitter stream with the hashtag #TeachTheWeb. Oh, and if you're on Hamago, put it as a comment, and we should see it on one of those 4 channels.
So it looks like Brian had a question.
Yeah, could you just say a little bit about Thimble and what you like about it and how you use it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Laura will expand on this, but the thing I like is that, you know, if you're just creating something using Notepad, or even if you're using something like Adobe Brackets or whatever, I like the fact that you can see the preview. I like the together.js thing, but also it shows you the errors and what you need to do about it. And then the flip side of that is that because it's like an OER repository, an Open Education Resources repository, you can take what someone else has got, hit remix, and you can then see how they've structured their code and get back to them very quickly. So I like the fact that it's a bit like GitHub in that you've got resources there, but you've also got the means of production, so to speak, so that you can then create something based off their resources. Laura?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that I like most about Thimble is the way that when you publish something, it plugs into this greater ecosystem. And the thing that's really cool from a beginner standpoint is that it sort of takes away some of the more complicated things about web making, like setting up your own server, setting up a FTP, transferring files, making sure that you have, you know, the proper link structure. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into actually building your own website, and Thimble makes it really easy for you to start to learn some of the basics in a really safe environment where you can just play and publish and still share things. And I really like the fact that you can still share an actual real live web page by using Webmaker tools. So
it's very cool. We've got one more thing to share, Laura, so if you could click on me, and I'm going to screen share. This is Annie Martinez, who's up in Pittsburgh. She is with the Sprout Fund and involved in Hive Pittsburgh. You can see what she's done here is she's created something which I think scrolls across really nicely. So it's a picture over there. If you can see my screen, some stats with her birthday and how old she is and that kind of stuff. Her shower was 27. And where her family is from and what she does. So this is what I really like about this is it gives you the tools. It reveals what is behind the web. And it gives you some kind of identity on the web. So, for example, I'm going to soon replace my about.me page. So if you go to about.com, for example, it goes to an About Me page, which I've created by just dragging and dropping things. But what's more powerful is if I create my own thing where I've got power over absolutely everything that's on that page, and I can structure however I want. That gives me a real sense of identity. So there's 3 Webmaker tools at the moment. There's X-Ray Goggles, which we haven't shown you yet. There's Thimble, and there's Popcorn Maker. So we're very much focusing on Thimble today because it allows you to remix things easily, and it also allows you to collaborate with other people. But do have a look at webmaker.org/tools. Let me show you that link now. And what you'll see is those 3 tools, and you'll be able to play about with those. What I usually do when I'm running workshops is I start with X-ray goggles so that people can see that really the web is made up of things like Lego blocks, dive into Thimble, and then finish off with Popcorn Maker. Okay, we've only got about a minute left, Laura, so I'm going to unshare my screen, and then I'm going to ask you what is happening for the rest of this week and what's happening for the rest of Webmaker Training.
And in response, I'm going to share my screen so that I can actually click on the link. Maybe make sure I'm selected. So if you go to training.webmakerprototypes.org and you scroll down a little on that first page, you're going to see a Twitter stream and also a calendar. So all of the live sessions are put into the calendar, and we do invite people to form their own live sessions. We'll put them on the calendar as things start to emerge, so keep your eye there. Later this week, we're going to have a conference call with a 1-800 number as well as many different international numbers where you can call in, and we'll be sending that information around. But if you want it right away, if you click on the Find Help page, that third bullet point, say hello on a Teach the Web community call. These are community calls that we host every Thursday, and during training, it's going to be mostly about what everybody is making and learning and thinking about in the training modules. So I urge everybody to go to the Exploring module this week, read about making as learning and connected learning in the open web, make things, collaborate with each other, share everything that you've made, check out the resources, and if you click on that discussion link, you will be taken to Discourse, and Discourse is a place where everybody is gathering together, sharing what they're making, all of the live sessions. This is the discussion forum for all of Webmaker Training, and if you just use the hashtag #TeachTheWeb, we're always here and we're always available to help you guys teach the web. That's what we're doing in training.
Thanks, Laura. That's really useful. So I want to be respectful of people's time. We're 1 minute past the hour now, but I just wanted to say that do come along to our community call on Thursday. It's a chance for people to talk about what they've been doing. This also is an experimental kind of training where we want your feedback. We're going to be issuing badges. We're going to be issuing badges on a weekly basis, so for exploring and building and facilitating and connecting. And also, if you do all of those weeks, then you will get your Webmaker Mentor badge, which unlocks certain privileges when we start issuing web literacy badges. So I'll leave that dangling as a carrot. If you've got any questions, I'm about to go and have my dinner, but I will be on Twitter later this evening, and I will be answering questions, as will Laura, as will my colleagues. And so I hope you've learned something today, and if you've got any feedback for us, it's very, very welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thanks a lot. This was great.
Thanks for coming, you guys.